Welcome to the Multifamily Zone, where business meets family. We explore what the entrepreneur life looks like from the family perspective. Now, here are your hosts, Julia and Gino Barbaro.
Hey everyone, this is Julia Barbaro, host of the Multifamily Zone podcast. I'm here with my husband, co-founder of Jake and Gino, and my co-host, Gino Barbaro. Hey.
Julia.
Yeah.
How's it going today?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Well, I'm going to start out with a story because we're going to be doing the 6 stages of energy right now. And it's really important. This is all mindset. This is all getting ready. Picture this Monday of this week, first day of school. My wife is overwhelmed. She's got so much stuff going on, preparing curriculum. She's been working on it for the last couple of weeks, and I'm working out of the house. I know I can be a little bit overbearing sometimes, and I want things done at once. I'm preparing for the lesson at 12 p.m. for the students, and all of a sudden my internet goes out. And if I had used the 6 stages of energy, I would have gotten over it, and I probably would have come up with a solution. Instead, what do?
You let me use the 6 stages of energy.
I go to crazy mode, conflict, anger, because I hate Comcast with a passion. I hate Xfinity because they are the worst. They'll raise your price. They won't tell you. They overcharge you. Their service is terrible. And I couldn't think clearly. I went into victim. Why is this happening right now? I've got to prepare. I've been preparing hours for this lesson. I don't want to let the students down. And why is this happening to me? Then I went to anger. So anger is the second level or the second stage. And my anger brought me to my wife because she's the solution maker. I'm the problem and she's the problem solver, right? And I'm like, what can I do? To make a long story short, if I had really used these 6 stages and really was really conscious of my thoughts, it would have been great because I would have said to myself, you know what? I don't have internet, but I can use my phone. I can go to webinar on my phone. It's not the best thing in the world, but at least I can utilize that and I can, use data or whatever. But I didn't even think of that until after, like 15 minutes after my wife said, why didn't you do that? Because I wasn't thinking clearly. I was so angry and so mad. I was in the anger mode where the country is right now. I was not in the solution mode because I had let my emotions take me over. High level of emotions, higher intelligence. Lower level of emotions, lower intelligence. And that is the perfect analogy. I was so mad at Comcast because it hasn't happened once, 5 or 6 times. Sometimes it wasn't their fault, but I just blame them. I had lost internet in the office downtown St. Augustine a week prior to that. I had to waste an hour of my time chatting with them to try to get that back up. So I was so angry, so embroiled. But if I had learned these lessons, and really I know them, but I didn't adopt them. And I know I'm speaking a lot, and I'm not letting my wife go because I need to get this off my chest because for me it's therapeutic. I could have had the lesson at 12 o'clock. But what's amazing is my partner, Jake, rock star. I said, Jake, I can't get up and running. He said, you know what, Gino? Not a problem. We'll jump on at 6 o'clock. And he had the solution. I didn't even think of saying, you know what, let's get on later. I didn't want to ruin his day. He's so scheduled out. He's working since 6 in the morning. I don't want him to get on a call at 6 p.m. We ended up getting on the call at 6 p.m. We crushed the lesson. We had a great lesson. But the long story short on this lesson is we're going to teach you these 6 stages. And every time you have a reaction to that, how do you go and look at that and analyze what's going on in your situation and say, you know what? It's okay to be a victim. It's okay to be angry, but let's get into the higher stages, which is more anabolic and it's more energizing and there's more solutions oriented. If I had done that, I would have said, okay, go to webinar, cell phone, boom, let's do the lesson. It's a little inconvenient, but I can do it at 12 o'clock. And I didn't do that. So we're going to talk about today. I was going to call it a lesson podcast. This coaching call that we're having with our community right now. It's so important because this will dictate every aspect of your life. When you're having an argument with your spouse, which we never argue, right, baby? But when you do, you can really take a step back, take a deep breath, and really just picture these 6 stages and saying, where am I right now? Am I in victim? Am I in anger? Am I being responsible? And do I have concern? Do I have reconciliation? Or am I being non-judgmental? Where am I? And how do I get there, right?
It's funny that you mentioned that Monday morning incident because that's exactly what I was talking about today. So I guess we think alike. We have the same.
Honestly, Julia, I felt bad, and I have to give you a lot of
that's
credit.
what I want to talk about is because you're going from the first stage, which is a victim, right? Why is this happening to me? Now, it's important to remember that when you're in that stage, there are times where you should be there. Let's say you lost somebody close to you. Let's say you had to move. Let's say you moved away from your whole family. You know, you're devastated. You should be there for a little while. You should grieve. And that's really, really important. But this type of victim is not getting you anywhere. It's not doing anything for you. So in this situation, when Gino was talking about, is I felt that too, but I felt it differently because my husband put it on me, and it wasn't, and I was so, well, we were having such a good school day. I was so excited. He's like, my internet's out. I'm like, okay. So there I go, 2.5 hours later, trying to contact Comcast and all that stuff. But I did, I was really irritated with him. Like, why would he put this on me when this is his responsibility? But then I got irritated. I actually got angry, which is the second stage, right? It's when you have a conflict, you're angry, you're defiant, you're angry at this, right? So here I was mad. And what that does is sometimes is it's like, how am I going to get out of this? We could stay there. We can be angry. We could be bitter, which I could have done. And then I wouldn't be on this podcast with him because I'd be really bitter about it. No, I'm just kidding. I would never do that. But my point is, we can choose to get out of it. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm irritated. I get it. What am I going to do about it? And that anger, it finds a way to solve a problem. And so sometimes we need to be angry. You know, we always think, oh, being angry is bad, but sometimes it's actually what we need to take another step.
So that's important, everybody. Write the first stage down. The first stage is victim. The second stage is conflict or anger. Now, the reason why those two stages are neither good or bad, like my wife said, you need to actually go through them. It's you don't always have to. You can get out of them right away, but it's a catabolic form of energy. It's negative. It's draining. This is important for salespeople. When you're at a level one, or you have somebody that you're trying to sell something, or you're trying to solve a problem, that fear, the victimhood, you're not going to take action. You're going to be sitting there and you're not taking action. Right now, what's going on in the country? Everyone's afraid of coronavirus. Everyone's in total fear until you get into level 2 or stage 2, which is conflict or anger. People who are angry take action. It may not be good action or bad action because they're still really annoyed. They still have that low level of emotions. And I'll give you the perfect example. When I'm at the restaurant, I'm in the kitchen, I'm fearful in the very beginning, and a lot of you may resonate with this. I'm working the 9-to-5 job. I'm comfortable, but I'm fearful that I don't want to be here anymore, and I don't know how to get out of it. And I see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm afraid. I'm not taking any action. Then one day, the trigger comes. My brother comes back from barbecuing out. He's having a great time jumping around, and I'm in the kitchen washing dishes. The anger kicks in, and I'm like, I've got to do something now. Now I went from fear to anger. And I stayed in that victim conflict, level 1, level 2 for a little while I was at the restaurant. Another example, I'm inside the shed. I'm putting away these container tins. I'm doing $10 an hour work. I've got a cell phone, if you get on YouTube, on my ear, and I'm talking to Jake. We're negotiating an $11 million seller finance deal. And I was so angry at myself because I'm like, I am worth more than $10 an hour work. What am I doing here? That got me so angry that day, it was back in July of 2015, I said to myself, I'm going to make a plan for myself how to get out of this restaurant. Now, if I was afraid, I wouldn't have been able to think that way. So the anger kicked me into gear. And then from there, having a great partner, having a great spouse, having a great accountability person gave me the ability to go above those stages and see the possibility. But if it's just anger and it's not placed correctly, you're either moving away from pain or moving towards pleasure. I was moving away from pain, and I was utilizing that anger to get me really mad, to get me energized. And then, through life coaching, through having a great partner, being able to map it out and doing all that work. That's why coaching, that's why accountability is so important, because it'll help you get on the call. After this podcast, I'm going to get off, me and my wife. We're going to both feel great. We're going to, hopefully go to the beach after, right? Go swimming, do something, but we're going to feel great afterwards. And that's what coaching is all about. It's all about using that anger or using whatever you're working on and coming up with solutions, raising your level of energy, getting you through those stages of energy for you to see the possibilities. Because I had the answer within me. I knew that I had to leave the restaurant. I didn't know how to do it, but that's what coaching is all about. The answers were within me. Partner with Jake, buy more deals, get educated, continue to become a coach, continue to help others. Those are all within me. But if I'm angry or if I'm fearful, it's really hard for that to come out. And that's what a coach is there for, to pull those answers out of you, not to tell you what to do, because
Mhm.
it's more empowering for you to say it yourself, to say, you know what, this is what I need to do. And Julia's great at asking questions. What do you need to do? Oh, you know what? I need to call Jake. I need to do more deals. I need to find a coach. I need to get educated. Boom, boom, boom. I need to call more brokers. Those are things that got to come out of me. And then she'll hold me accountable, but at least she's giving me that time and she's telling me, guiding me into what I need to do.
It's interesting because when you are angry, when you do have a conflict, and like Gino said, you do take action at that point. See, this is where it's a little tricky, and it's one of those things that you have to decide. And this is one of those great things when we are allowed to make our own choices. You can choose to do something positive with it, with that anger.
Yes.
You could go and like what you did was make another company, or you could choose to be bitter, and you could choose a negative response. And maybe who knows, maybe you left the restaurant and in anger and had no relationship with your family. It could have gone really bad. And that's something to remember, is that when we do have a conflict, we are angry, we're about to take action, pay attention to what that action is, because it's so important.
That's why stage 3 I think to me is crucial, because it's the word that every entrepreneur knows will make them successful. Every successful parent knows. It's all about responsibility. If we take responsibility for our actions, we take responsibility for our lives, we will find solutions. Because if you don't have responsibility, if you're blaming everybody else back in victim, it's her fault. It's the economy's fault. Well, my wife could have blamed me on Monday. She should have. But at the end of the day, what does that solve? Her blaming me acting like a jerk. That doesn't get anything done. I still don't have internet. Her day is still ruined. She said, you know what? I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to figure it out for my husband, because I love my husband and he provides for me. And this is how we get paid. And this is how we have a great lifestyle. So she took it from that respect and she became responsible. I wish I had been more responsible sooner, because I would have said, hey, Julia, don't worry about it. I can run down to the office if I had seen it sooner, or I could have gotten my cell phone. But this third stage of responsibility and then cooperation is huge. This is where you're getting over the hurdle and getting into this anabolic energy, where you're seeing the ability to find a solution. And this is what's going on in the country. Right now, we're at conflict, we're at anger, the riots and the looting. Now, I'm not going to agree or disagree to what they're doing, but that's where they are right now. Now, if they step back and they become responsible, whether it's the police force, whether it's the looters, whether it's the people, whatever's going on, if we find responsibility and we can find some commonness, we can work together to get out of that anger and start finding solutions. But we're not doing that right now. So I want you to do that in your life. Become responsible. Read T. Harv Eker's book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Back in 2008, I was blaming the Great Recession. I was blaming everybody. And I read that book and he's like, become responsible. The fruits are in your roots. It's all about what you want to do. There's other people out there making millions of dollars and you're not. And I said, man, who's this guy? He's a jerk. How does he know me? I read it again. He's like, he's 100% accurate. I don't have the skill set. I don't have the talent to be making that kind of money that other person is making, because there's no such thing as luck when you're making a lot of money. You can be lucky, but you're going to lose it sooner or later. These people had talents and skills that I was hoping that I had, but I wasn't there yet. So I use that responsibility and I use that to say, I need to learn. I need to learn what I don't know. And that responsibility is paramount, is key to having a successful life.
Yeah, I love the stage 3, the responsibility, forgiveness, cooperation, because it really does kind of, you have to really want it. You have to really choose it. You could stay in that victimhood. You could stay in that anger because it's easy. It's so easy because, let's go back to Monday. Monday, I was like, why does this have to happen? This is my first day of school. It was going amazing. Why does he have to put this on me? And then it went to angry. Why did you do this? You know what I mean? I was really mad because it really messed up everything. But then I'm like, you know what? So what? If this is just a little something, he needs help and I am here to help him, of course, because we work together. We're partners. Of course, I want to help him. I want to be responsible. This is not just for him. It's for our whole family.
She didn't say that until now. So I'm assuming that was reserved. So
I thought it. I think that's important, right? But it's really one of those moments where you have to decide that you don't want to be angry anymore. You don't want to be irritated anymore. I want to choose to be responsible. I want to choose to forgive. I want to choose to cooperate and work together. And that's why it's important that those two, to me, those are the hardest, that's the hardest step, going from that second stage to the third stage, because it really, it's hard for people. It's hard for people to admit. It's hard for people to admit that they're wrong or they're not acting properly. And so it's a challenge for us. It's a big effort.
You can make the choice though, right? You can make the choice to be responsible,
absolutely.
or you can make the choice to stay in anger.
Yes.
we're trying to make it seem to you as if you have the conscious effort. You have to
Yes.
think consciously. You have to understand that you have a conscious choice to stay angry, to become responsible, or to go in the fourth stage, which is concern, compassion, and service. Now, I want all the parents out there to start teaching their children responsibility. Now, there's so many things that our children are being taught in this media right now that, oh, it's not your fault. Oh, we're going to give you free college. Oh, we're going to give you free this. Our parents and myself, we worked for college. We worked on the weekends to pay for college. We didn't have student loans back then. You know, if we did, they were minimal. But now they want free college. You know, there's no responsibility in that. You know what free means. Free means crap. Free means watered down. We need to teach our children all about responsibility, being responsible adults and making those responsible choices. The fourth one is concern. You're getting to a higher anabolic stage. Concern and service are what coaches are all about. Now, like we said, it's not a good or a bad thing to get into each one of these levels. You can be in level 4 being really powerful, but you have no boundaries. All of a sudden, you're in service of everybody. My wife is taking care of me. My wife is taking care of the kids. My wife's taking care of my mother-in-law, her mom. All of a sudden, she's getting pulled 100 different directions, and she can't say no to anybody. That may be tricky, right? You want to be in this because you see the possibility. You're really energized. You're trying to help people, but you may be able to burn yourself out on this stage.
Yeah, that's an important one. That's all about boundaries. We should have another podcast. I think we do already, but we should definitely talk about it more often because that does happen, especially to a lot of moms out there where you're trying to just take care of everyone at the same time. And there's a lot of voices going on and your husband works from home and he has a lot of you.
It's all my fault on this podcast.
No, but the fourth one is important. That concern, the compassion, and the service. It's really noticing that other person. I noticed my husband was so frustrated when the internet goes out or there's something happens on the computer. He does not handle it well.
You know
and
why?
I know that.
It's my livelihood.
It is.
And the thing is, it's the Comcast, which has terrible service. They're a terrible company, and I link that pain with Comcast. If it was anybody else, it was another company, I understand. I can get it. They have great customer service. We went to AT&T for cell phones, went to the corporate one and the regular one. AT&T corporate is awesome, their cell phone company. I love that company. It does really well. Over here, I want to get rid of Comcast, but I have a great setup within, having a couple modems. It just works really well for the situation that I have in my home. My office is detached, so I need to get it. So to make a long story short, I need to work with them. The simplest solution would be just to cut them off, but then it's really hard to get what I have here. So I have to deal with that. But I really, if I just calmed down and not done that, because I ruined a few hours of the day. I really did. I had negative level of energy.
But what happened was we have a really good lesson on it. And so that's what I want to point out is that all the irritating and bad things that happen in our life, it's always a learning lesson. We planned this podcast, but we didn't have any stories. And I think it's interesting that happened during this because all those bad things that happen to us, we can teach others through it. It makes for a good story.
But I mean, we have hundreds of stories from this. This is just the freshest one on our mind, right? So the other one would have been Friday. We're driving around. We're in Tennessee. We're doing the closing. We're driving in the car at 2:00. We don't know if we've closed yet. We don't know if the deed has restrictions. It was a USDA loan coming off of its contract. We're not sure. Do we have the deed restrictions? We don't. If we're a victim or anger, it's not going to solve anything. What we needed to do was, hey, let's call the company. Let's get some kind of clarity. So we had a couple of people in the car with us. Thank you, Jen O and Jen U. And Jake was there also for really raising our level of energy and trying to become responsible and trying to find out how we solve this problem. Instead of blaming the lawyer, instead of blaming the other team, how do we work together to find out the situation we need? And if worse comes to worse, Gino flew down. We're on the property. We didn't close. The kids will still see what they need to see, but they won't experience a true closing. That was the worst thing. So I wasn't too worked up about that one. The one Monday really worked me up, though.
But, going back to the number 4, the concern, the compassion, the service, it's how can I help? It's let me put my stuff on hold for a second. The kids don't mind if we take a break from school. Let me wait and let me help my husband out. And I think that's really important. That service is so important and doing it freely, not because you're mad and you want me to do it and I have to stomp away and do it. It's I'm freely doing it.
Well, you'll be back at stage 2, right?
Exactly.
You won't be at stage 4.
Yes.
You'll be at stage 2. You'll probably have gotten it done and you're bitter as hell.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then I'm not even going to say thank you to her because she's really pissed at me because she's like, well, I had to waste my whole time.
Right.
Instead of saying, is it up? Did you get everything? Oh,
Yes.
Jewel, thanks.
This took me a full day to get through.
I
But I
know.
went through every stage, which is so interesting. And I think that's amazing. So let's go to 5, Gino.
Number 5 is reconciliation, peace, and acceptance. We play a game. I win and you win, or we just don't play. That's the thing. It's all about win-win in level 5, right? It's you're accepting it. You get to this level 5, Gino, let me help you with this router.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get this thing done.
Yeah.
It's gonna go. And if it doesn't go, we'll find another solution.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna win with this, right?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, you know what, why'd you let me do this? Or it's your fault. You're out of it. You have an anabolic level of energy. You're really pumped up. You're really excited. It's like, all right, ready to go.
Yeah. No, it's at that point at 5 that I really accepted that, okay, I was gonna help him. And I was in the process of it. I'm on the phone with them. I'm working it out. Things are getting done. I have hope that it's going to work again because, it was working. It was getting there. And I think that's really important that you get to that point where, you're not irritated anymore. You're accepting that you're in the situation and you're working it out.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Number 6, Julia, the 6th stage is the highest level of anabolic energy. Non-judgmental, joy, wisdom, and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
There's no judgments at this level. You are in the zone right now. If you ever heard of being in the zone, your physiology, the way you talk, the way you present yourself, you just feel full of energy. You feel like you're ready to go. Nothing's going to stop you. You see the possibilities. Now, I should have said in stage 5, there is another problem with that also, because at that stage, you're seeing everything as a possibility. Oh, I'm going to do this deal. I'm going to do that deal. I'm going to help this person. I'm going to help. All of a sudden, you may be taking risks that you think look great, but they may be risky because you see everything as an opportunity. Whereas in level 2, you're seeing problems. Level 5, you're seeing opportunities. So that's really, really freaking amazing. So be careful. Like you said, it's not a positive or a negative. You just need to know where you're at. And when you're in that 5 and 6 zone, you're looking at deals, you're looking at opportunities. I'm looking at it from the business perspective, but even from a parenting perspective, wow, you're doing great with your kids are learning. You're not thinking, wow, are they doing too much work? Am I putting too much emphasis on them? Am I stressing them out too much? You're not knowing. You think you're doing a great job because everything's going really well with you. That's why you have to have the self-check and have that conscious thought saying, am I doing the right thing here?
That 6 is really, really beautiful because it is that pure joy where, you see the beauty in everything. You see your kids and you watch them, whether they're struggling through something or not, you see the good that's coming out of it. In this situation, I did see the good because I got to serve. I got to help my husband with something, and that actually is really, really rewarding. So you're enjoying each moment. You're not worrying about what's going to happen, what's going to come out of it. Why are you smiling?
It's really rewarding because you're like, yeah, I helped you, sucker. You couldn't do it without me, right? Yeah. That's the truth.
I never thought that. We're very different.
Well, I was just thinking, okay, he can't do it without me. He needs me. And it's great when you're needed, right?
But it's a beautiful time, that 6, that joy, because you just have trust. And I think that's a beautiful word because, we do tend to worry a lot. We have great trust in God completely, but we also have to have a trust in each other. So he has to trust that I'm going to be like, Gino, let me help you. I see you're struggling. Give me a chance to help you.
And vice versa.
Yes.
I mean, when something happens where she needs me to do something where it's all right, not a problem. I'll jump on there. Level 6 is great because I don't want to say often in level 6, but when Monday morning comes around, the average person's like, oh, I got to go back to work. For me, it's like I get an 8 o'clock huddle with the team. I love this. I feel like I'm ready to go. I'm in the zone right now. I'm talking to others. We're sharing our wins. We're sharing what we're going to do for the week. So see how you get yourself into the higher levels, higher stages, because you can, through your physiology, through your state, through your thought, whether it's from prayer, whether it's from meditation, whatever you use, you have to be conscious. You can do breathing patterns. I read a book by James Nestor. It's called Breath. Using your breathing is really important. We've lost that ability to do that. And I was reading in the book, actually, all the prayers and meditations are through breaths. So if you're doing the rosary, there's a certain cadence to it. Yeah. It's a lot of breathing. So figure out how you get, when you do get into that flow, when all of a sudden deals are coming to you easily and you're talking to brokers and you're making these connections and you're sending out emails and you're just crushing your work. How did you get there? Like, what clicked? Try to find that out. Try to be more conscious and say, wow, this is what I need to do.
Gino, when you first used to talk about this, you used to talk about it a lot. And, I'm not sure if I wasn't listening very well.
Of course not.
Or if you weren't explaining it very well, because I honestly thought that those first two stages were bad to be in,
Mhm.
and I was like, all right, how are you going to get out of that victim? How are you going to get out of that anger stage? But you need to be, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and you explained it so much better. So you explained it so nice, because you said that you have to be the victim sometimes. You have to be in an angry stage to change your life, because sometimes we're just so comfortable. When we moved to Florida, I felt that victimhood. I was super sad. I was like devastated. And
I wasn't. Just kidding.
and I talked to someone there, a lot of people move to Florida. There's a lot of out of towners here. But I spoke with another mom, and she's like, yeah, we moved 12 years ago. And I said, oh, okay. So when did you feel at home? She's like, I know, I still don't feel at home. And I was like, oh my gosh, 12 years later, you still want to go back home. And it made me a little nervous. And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to be like that. And so I thought to myself, how can I be, you're still upset that you're missing everyone, but how can I make a life here and feel at home and feel good about what we did and be comfortable? Because it's really important that we that we feel that, because if I'm always missing home for 12 years later, you're not in a good state at that point.
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, I don't know that person's situation, but if you have been living somewhere for 12 years, just go back. Try to figure a way to go back.
Well, sometimes we remember only the good parts.
Mm-hmm.
And we choose what we remember.
Well, that's part of doing this,
Yes,
right? That's
exactly.
how you get into stage 6. Think of the good things that are going on. Think of that call you had with a partner or with a broker. Think of the deal you called. How do you get into that state? You can raise your state by getting on a call with a partner, an accountability coach, and all of a sudden get energized and get off and go, whoa, I didn't think of that, right?
Yes.
And
that's important. And so that's what I did. And that's how I got out of it, even before I knew about all these stages. But because I thought, what do I have here? And I thought about all the good things that we have. And that actually started changing things. What are my opportunities here that I never had before? Started changing things even more. What can we do differently? And so as I did that sadness I had, that victim. And when I talk about victim at this point, it wasn't for me. It was, I literally was sad. You're slow, you're fatigued, you're numb. You miss everyone. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, we found alternative ways to see them. And I think that's important. So we have to take our situation we're in and what are the opportunities.
Let's take a quick time out to hear from our sponsor.
Hey, Wheelbarrow Profits family, are you struggling with ways of teaching your kids about money and financial literacy? Gino, I think we have something to help them. Tell them about it.
We've been hard at work creating the Jake and Gino Youth Academy. The Academy takes a deep dive into good money habits, setting up a budget, investing, taxes, the difference between an asset and a liability, and so much more. This is a great opportunity to spend time with your children, to be their role model when it comes to money and investing, and learn how to set them on the right path to financial success.
If you want more information on how you can become the next Youth Academy member, visit www.jakeandgino.com/education to begin your journey to financial freedom.
As we like to say at Jake and Gino, people with financial intelligence can change the world for the better. So Julia, what I would say, you're in level 1 and you're a victim. You really have to be careful with the people that you surround yourself with. That's why Jim Rohn said that. Because if you're surrounding yourself with people, and family is different, right? But I'm talking about friends. If you surround yourself with people who are always victims, who are always blaming others, like we said, it's okay that if you lost a loved one, or it's okay if you lost a deal, or it's okay if you didn't get into a college of your choice. It's okay if you lost that sales, to be a victim for a little bit, to stew and say, that just stinks. But then the choice is, when do you get out of that? And some people are there for the rest of their lives and they live miserable lives because they're blaming everybody else. And woe is me. And like Tony Robbins says, it's great when you're a victim because everyone listens to you. You go to the hospital, everyone comes to see you. So people get energy and joy from that. But really, what kind of lives are they living, right? So be conscious of that. I want to go through these 6 stages as far as from a business perspective, how you can affect you from the real estate perspective. Level 1. You're part of the Jake and Gino community. You've been here for a couple of weeks, let's say. All of a sudden, you're a victim. I can't find any deals. Brokers don't want to talk to me. If you're at that level, guess what? You're gonna attract that type of level. So you're not going to attract any partners, or you're going to attract partners who have that kind of energy, Or you're going to talk to brokers, and brokers are not going to want to talk to a person like that. You know, the way you show up in life is your representation of who you are. If you show up as a victim and complaining, do you think someone's going to want to work with you? No, they're not going to want to work with you. So you're going to be stuck at level 1. So level 1 does not work when you're in business. Level 2, conflict or anger. All of a sudden you're saying, you know what, there's no deals out there. What do I need to do? Okay, I'm mad now because I need to get a deal done, right? Problem is, where do I start? Because you're so mad, you don't know where to think of. Oh, let me get on a call with the coach. Then you get on the call with the coach, and the coach gives you 15 different options. You're like, I never thought of direct mail. I never thought of going on LoopNet. I never thought of, looking for a partner. I never thought of going to a live event. I never thought of doing property tours. I never thought of opting into lists. All these different ideas that the coaches talk to you. Now from anger, you go to the third stage, which is responsibility. Hopefully you do, because now, wow, I've got these different ideas. I'm going to become responsible. I'm going to take action. So from that third level, you're calling the broker. You're going on the property tour. And you see the possibility now going into level 4, which is concern or service, because now you're getting into the deal. You're going into the higher levels of anabolic energy. You're like, I can see the possibilities going into stage 5. All of a sudden, what did I say? A win-win. Everything looks like a great deal to you, right? So, and you're not going to be static. You're going to be flowing throughout all of these stages. And the other important thing that you need to think of, every single event throughout your day, you're going to have different energetic response to it. We call it an energetic response to it, whether it's dealing with your kids, dealing with your idiot husband who can't figure out the internet on Monday, right? So my wife's gonna have different responses throughout the day on all her different actions. The car doesn't start. What happens with that? You know, the pool guy came late and he didn't do a good job, let's say, or the cleaning ladies came and they left early, they left a mess. You're going to have different responses to every different action throughout the day. That's why it's important to really be conscious and really be aware and work on personal development and work on responsibility. How do we take care of that? It's always those questions. Yeah. It comes back to the empowering questions. How do we handle that? How do we take care of that? That's the responsibility.
Yeah, when something doesn't go our way, instead of doing what Gino just said, the car doesn't start. The question you ask yourself is like, okay, what am I going to do now? What should I do? And you have to take immediate action in everything, because otherwise you will just sit there. And it's important to remember, that next action is important. What you do next is important, because there's a lot of people around you, especially as a parent. The kids watch you. My husband, if he overreacts about something, they notice it and they tend to take that on. So it's really important that we pay attention to who's around us and what action we're taking. We always say, the kids that wake up, maybe they're in a bad mood or they're crabby today. We make these little statements about, oh, dad's in a bad mood, don't talk to him. The question is, Dad, you could say, to your spouse or whoever, hey, you seem upset. Is there something you want to talk about? Because sometimes it really just takes another person to bring it out of you. Sometimes you don't know what's wrong. Sometimes you just need a conversation with someone that will listen. So maybe that we're that person that would just sit and listen to the person just for a minute. Maybe we can help them with something. Because when we are in a bad mood, the question is why? What's going on? What happened? We could talk to our kids. You seem upset. Is there something bothering you? Did someone say something that upset you? Because that's how we teach other people, especially our children, how to go through these stages. So it's not just you're in a bad mood. Nobody talk to, Veronica. Don't talk to her. She's in a bad mood. No, Veronica, what's going on? Let's talk about it. And maybe tell the kids that too. It's always important to address that first.
I think there's one more thing that I like to say before we wrap everything up. We'll give you the 6 stages again. We'll let you ponder them for a little bit. Think of all the organizations and the companies out there. Where are they? If you're an organization like, for instance, I'm trying to think of one, Sears. Where do you think the company Sears is right now? Do you think they're in concern, reconciliation? They're closing. They blame the whole economy. Well, now it's the internet. But you have companies like Amazon and you have companies like Apple. Where do you think they are? What level of energy? And it comes back to the leadership. It comes back to the culture of the company, the core values. It all works hand in hand. That's why leaders are so important to organizations. You can rule with an iron thumb, right? Dictators do that all the time, but you're constantly in the anger mode. There is constant stress. Sooner or later, that organization is going to blow up, or that situation is not going to work if they don't raise their level of energy and start working with others. So really look around you. Look at all the companies that are really successful. I mean, we talked to a Jake and Gino student, Michaela. She said that she worked for Lululemon. And I'm like, Lululemon is not that big of a deal, but they have such an amazing culture, core value, brand, that the company is just crushing it in that retail space. And it's such a competitive space. So why are they different? What are they doing? I'll guarantee you, they with these 6 stages of energy, a lot of their employees are empowered. They don't feel like victims. They're not angry at work. They're there with concern. They're there with reconciliation. 4th and 5th stage. They're energized. They're empowered to do their work. They love the brand. That's what we're all striving to do in business. When you're at a business and when you're a leader, or you're trying to, whether it's closing a deal or working with a broker, think of these 6 stages. Think of where you want to be to empower the people around you.
Yeah. So let's go through them one more time real quick. So we have the first stage, which is victim.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you're numb. It could be when you're slow and you're fatigued. It's important to figure out that you're in that, because that's really the awareness is the key to changing.
Mm-hmm.
The second one would be the conflict, the anger, the defiance. The third one is the responsibility, the forgiveness, the cooperation. The fourth, concern, compassion, and service, which is an awesome stage, by the way. The fifth one, reconciliation, peace, acceptance. And then the sixth, of course, is the non-judgmental, the joy, the wisdom, and the understanding. On Monday, when everything got back online and everything was normal again, I actually sat there and said, wow, the internet is pretty amazing. We are living in a time that is unbelievable, that we could talk to anyone on the planet at any time. And I think about that because one of my daughters is reading it's like a Little House on the Prairie type book back in that day.
Laura Ingalls, right?
Yeah, Laura Ingalls. And she's talking about how they have to churn and they have to mend the clothes and they have to wash them outside. And I thought, oh my gosh, we are living in such a great time. I'm so fortunate. I'm so thankful. And, just the internet alone, one day of trouble, but look what we have. And so that's the point that I'm making, is that I'm just enjoy what we have, because it's incredible.
And I think about that. Big shout out to Mr. Stenziano for making me watch these shows on Vikings, right? I'm watching the Vikings show, and I watched the other one, The Last Kingdom, but I'm watching Vikings. I'm on season 2. And I think to myself, and he said it, man, they are so tough back then. I mean, this is 800s, 900s, right before the Renaissance. I mean, like the basics of life, as far as taking a shower. I mean, as far as going to battle. I got
my groceries delivered today.
Like,
that's incredible if you really think about it. We take for granted all these little things that we have, and we get irritated so easily if it's not working.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's my point. Is Jake even said it to me yesterday. We have become so soft and so complaining. Stop the conflict and the anger and the victim. Being a victim is when you're living in 800 AD and you're giving birth to a baby in a hut when it's 28 degrees outside and there's not enough food to go through the winter. That's problems. What we're going through, we can really realize, and we do have problems and issues. I'm not saying we don't, but let's look at them in a different way. And let's say, and if you can even look at it from the way my wife said, let's be thankful for what we have. The solutions will come a lot easier. And that's what this is all about. I really should recap this by saying, if you take control of your emotions and you become conscious, it's all about finding the solution. It's all about going and attacking the problem and looking at that problem from being a problem to being an opportunity. For me, being audited years and years ago, being driven out of the restaurant, that was a problem. But now I look back at that was the ultimate opportunity for me, because it made me take action. It got me out of the fear mode into the anger mode and into the solution mode and out of the restaurant. Yeah. So that's what this is all about. This is all about looking at these 6 stages, how you can use them throughout the day, and how you can create those mini wins. And the more wins you do and the more actions you take, the more you're going to be doing that in your life.
Yeah. And go over it with a partner, go over it with your kids, go over it with someone that you're close to, because it's important to hold each other accountable. Also hold yourself accountable, because then you blame the other if you mess up. It's important though that, my husband and I notice him. He notices when I'm upset. Start noticing the other person a little bit more this week.
And ask the questions. Ask open-ended questions. And it's really important. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
So we did this first Facebook Live. We hope it went well. I didn't blow up the internet. So if you guys want to leave any questions, you have any comments, just email my wife, juliabarbaro@gmail.com. If you want to hear any topics that we speak about, you want to, any questions that we can answer on any future shows, we'd love to hear it. And until next time, hope you guys have a great week. And please Don't let the internet go down again.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.